Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Insights into Addiction and Mental Health. I'm your host, Scott Jones, and working certainly with our sponsors, Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic, who brings you this program. And what we try to highlight are things that are going on both in our communities and in treatment with addiction and mental health. It is a time that is more dangerous than any other time for people out there who are suffering from addictions. As a matter of fact, I could tell you that just recently it has been determined that the number one cause of death for people from the ages of 19 to 45 in America is fentanyl. It has overtaken cancer. It has overtaken automobile accidents. It's overtaken crime. It's become the number one cause of death. And personally, I've lost many people that are close to me because of this. So we find this very important that we let people know what's going on out there and what the treatment options are. So we're really going to be talking about what goes on at Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic and how you can get information. Now, as you can see on your screen, their website is always up, npaddictionclinic.com, and the number 844 282 1306. Please give them a call. And remember, when you call, you don't have to make a commitment to recovery. You don't have to make a commitment to come to their treatment center. If you have a question about addiction, if you're not sure who to turn to, if you're a mother or a father or a spouse who is concerned about their loved one, give a call, get the information that you need. Not every treatment center is appropriate for every person. So please look around. I can't tell you this enough. People will spend more time researching buying a new car than they will researching the place where they're going to send their loved one to get help. So make sure that you call them, make sure you're comfortable with them. And if you have an opportunity, tour the facility before you send your loved one there. If you're from out of state, they can do all sorts of things with Zoom, and they can video chat with you and show you around, let you meet the people. One last piece of advice is if you are looking for a place to send a loved one, if the only person you talk to is an operator or a marketer, and they will not allow you to speak to any of the clinical staff, that's not a place you want to go. I know for a fact that my friends at Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic are always open to talk to you, whether it's the COO, who's Bob, or Aurelio, who's the clinical director, or any of the therapists. If you have questions, they will answer them directly. So make sure you can speak to somebody who knows what's going on there. But with that, we actually have a special guest who actually works over at NP Addiction Clinic, and her name is Jessica Thompson. She is a forgive me, I want to make sure I get the letters right, because if you get the letters wrong, you screw it up for everybody. She's an MSW intern, which means she's working on getting her master's of social work. But I'm going to let her tell you all about it. Let's bring her in. Jessica, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I imagine you guys are kind of busy over there.
We are very busy. Never a dull moment or a down moment, but it's my pleasure. Thank you.
As you heard in the intro, I mean, this is a very dangerous time for people who are out there suffering from addictions
Yeah.
or mental health. And a lot of times those things go hand in hand. We're going to talk more about that. But, is there anything you want to say to people who are out there who are on the fence about, well, maybe I'll call tomorrow, or maybe I'll call next week? Or you
Mm,
got a loved one who's hesitating about ratting their loved one out or blowing the whistle on them. What do you want to tell those people right now?
sure. It's never an easy decision, and a lot of people go through different stages of where they're at in their recovery. And my best advice would be, we're not sure if next week will come,
Yeah.
and it's a really hard decision. A lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts are going into that, especially from the loved ones. Um, the best thing I could say is, do you want do you want to love them another day,
Yeah.
or because you might not get that chance. So, not so much worry about the relationship remaining intact, but more about continuing having more days to love them and cherish them.
Absolutely. It's very well put. We're not guaranteed that tomorrow we'll have the opportunity to help them. You can help them today,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
tomorrow may not come. And And I know you made a good point, because I think they're concerned about the relationship. Is,
Yeah.
if I push too hard, they're not going to like me.
Yeah.
But if somebody's standing on a bridge and they're about to jump, if you got to hit them over the head with a bat to make them
Yeah.
stop, you don't care if they're going to hate you or not. You just want to save their life. So it's funny, we'll do that for a stranger who's going to jump off a bridge, but we're afraid to do that for our loved ones.
That's right. That's right. Um, because those relationships or interpersonal relationships are very complex, right? There's a lot of gray involved sometimes and long histories um, in those relationships. But when you get to a point of your life's unmanageable and relationships are broken and it's affecting every aspect of your life, you've got to make a tough decision. And sometimes the best way to love them is to um, lead them to treatment or suggest it
Yes. A very
or
difficult
drop
thing
them
to do.
off. Drop them off.
Very, very difficult thing to do,
Yeah.
to do that, but it needs to be done. Jessica, let's talk about you for a moment. You're kind of the new kid on the block at
Yeah.
Neuropsychiatric. You've been around for 5-6 months, and
Yeah.
you know, um, you're an MSW intern. What exactly does that mean? At what point are you
Yes.
at in your training and learning?
Yes. So I have my undergrad in human services. So because it was a different area of study, I had to take the 3-year program at UCF. It's an online program. I am in year 2 of a 3-year program, which is also my first year of internship. So I was assigned here at NPAC, and I will be here hopefully for my full 2 years of internship. So this first year is called generalist. So a lot of case management work is what the program structured to focus on. But I have quite the advantage here that I'm super blessed to have been in this position. I'm able to do a lot of case management, but also begin working on my clinical skills with the group sessions, counseling sessions. So I'm doing both.
Excellent. Now being there, have you worked in other facilities, or is this your first one?
This is actually my second one.
Your
Uh,
second one, okay.
Yes, for my human services, I obtained that degree from Indian River State College, and I was at another alcohol and rehab
Okay.
locally for my
Now,
undergrad.
this one being neuropsychiatric addiction clinic, they are ACA licensed. So this goes beyond just the addiction piece. That they really have a high focus on the mental health as well. Do you see that as an advantage to helping people to have the license to help with mental health?
Certainly, absolutely, it's crucial because rarely do you ever have just one addiction. They're usually co-occurring, and sometimes substances can induce or cause a mental health issue. Sometimes the mental health issue precedes, and then there's substance abuse because people aren't sure how to deal with it, or if it's undiagnosed, they're not sure what's happening or going on. So we all try to numb, right? If we don't have the tools, the coping skills, and the tools to deal with things, we'll figure out a way to survive. So whatever that looks like. So sometimes that could mean abusing substances, and then sometimes prolonged substance abuse for whatever reason, life circumstances, situations. We get to where we get, and then mental health issues could arise from prolonged substance abuse.
Now, it's difficult when somebody is in the throes of addiction, especially if they're in advanced stages of addiction or alcoholism. It's difficult really to discern the difference between the addiction and some mental health disorders. So you guys kind of have this voyage of discovery when they come into you, as they start to, for lack of a better term, clean themselves up a bit. You start to see these things come out. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. I think some clients come with a clear cut coming to address a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And then as you complete the biopsychosocial assessments, you're realizing there's so much more, right? Because we're getting a full picture of what's happening because there's multiple systems going on in people's lives. So once we get that clear picture, things start to fall into place and make far more sense. And then sometimes it's strictly substance abuse. They're coming in for substance abuse, but then there's a mental health component somewhere in there, just depending on what level and how serious it is. But it's very interesting. You start to see you need the full picture. Once you start putting the full picture and getting all the pieces, we're better able to help our clients.
I like that because the word holistic has been out there for a while, and unfortunately, it has been, for lack of a better term, it's been bastardized by a lot of people. Just saying we're holistic. We're holistic means treating the whole being, and when you guys are approaching it from your approach, where you're dealing with the mental health just as much as the addiction, now we really are talking about the whole human being, and I can only assume the opportunity for recovery just becomes that much stronger when you are able to treat all those things as opposed to just ignoring the mental health. Is that accurate?
Oh, completely, Scott. Because if you take a client individual and you just look at what they're coming in for, it's super easy. Oh, this is easy to treat, right? You're coming in
Yeah.
for this issue. We'll just treat this issue and send you on your way. But like you said, it's far more complex and it goes so much deeper. It's so layered because we're not surfacey people, right? We're layered. We're people. We're individuals. So we have a story, and that story goes all the way back to our childhood. And it's crucial to get that information because there may have been something that happened in our childhood that was the catalyst
Right.
for the choice that we made, right? And it's important to go back, look at that. So when the clients are with their primary therapist in their one-on-one sessions, going all the way back there, if necessary, and to uncover what was there. So then they can address the wound and not just the immediate. It's important to stop the hemorrhaging, of course, absolutely.
Right.
But it's crucial to address the wound if you want lasting healing and to be successful in your recovery.
Now, some of that might be long-term mental health issues, but there also is traumas too. And untreated traumas. I think what people may not realize is that while a trauma might be based in one incident, as long as that's left as an open wound, it gets compounded constantly. So, one trauma which might seem relatively minor, years down the road can manifest itself in some pretty destructive ways. Is that accurate?
Completely. You're absolutely correct. And then that goes back to like coping skills. And first, if you're unaware, right, or we just brush it off, like that was something that happened, it was horrible, but I have to move on with life, right? So it's it's a couple of things. Lack of coping skills because we just don't know, and that's no fault of our own. But also,
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Excuse me. Um, but also we're trying to survive. So, and then that's no
Sure.
fault of anyone. We're doing the best we can, but
I think almost
forgot
there's
your
like this flow of information that is
yeah,
happening
yeah.
where people are self-diagnosing because we've got
Oh, sure.
access. People are Googling, people are going online and they're
Yeah.
self-diagnosing, and it's almost dangerous that
Hmm.
people can grab onto a little bit of knowledge and start running with that. And it turns out that's not what they should be doing. Are you seeing some of that going on?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. I think we all are in some regard. Google, Google's like great, right? And then it's until it's not, until we're self-diagnosing and then forgetting that there's real professionals who have trained and who are
Yeah,
training, who are dedicating their life's work to helping people be well. So Google, while it's good for researching cars. It is not for diagnosing how to work through substance abuse or trauma or mental health issues. It's best to leave that to the professionals.
absolutely. Now, there is a unique challenge. And unfortunately, a lot of treatment centers do not step up to the challenge.
Mm.
I know they do it neuropsychiatric. That's why I can talk about it. Is that everybody who comes through the door, even if their path is completely similar, you can draw lines between their paths, and they've had very similar experiences as a child, similar experiences with drug use, similar, but they react differently to treatment.
Mhm.
How important is it to really focus on the individual and not just have one band aid fits everybody approach?
Sure. That's super important to focus on the individual because, as you've said, I mean, we all have different lives and different paths that we've taken. And a lot of adverse childhood situations and life events can lead us to make the choices that we've made, and sometimes unknowingly, you know. Um, but to tailor, it's super important. It's really the only way is to tailor treatment per the client because we're not the same and we're not going to respond to treatment the same. And some people may have to, unfortunately, go through this a couple of times. Um, but you really can't treat every mental health issue the same or every substance abuse the same because of that unique story that
Yeah.
people have walked. And that's going to make treatment um, look very different for everyone.
So I would assume that unlike other places where therapists might see their client once a week for 45 minutes to an
Mm.
hour, and if they're lucky enough to see their therapist once a week, and everything is a case file. They don't get to know their names. They don't get to know
Mm.
anything about them personally. You guys do approach it differently at Neuropsychiatric. I mean, you guys are much more accessible. You spend a lot more time with the clients than just the minimum required. You want to get to know them, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the first, most important and crucial thing when developing a relationship with your client is the trust and the rapport. You've got to be able to connect with your client. Um, Really, they just want to see us as we're real. We're real people. Um, it's not like a clinician client. It's a relationship that we're forming. We have to protect that. And the clients here have access really, truly anytime. They do have their set appointments, 45 minutes or an hour with their primary therapist, but truly they can see their therapist every day if they need to. And some clients need that. Some clients do need that. Um, mhm.
Well, I mean, the one thing that is predictable is that recovery is unpredictable, and you
That's
don't know
right.
when they're going to have those moments where they need to
You
speak to
don't.
somebody.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine them saying, "Hold off until Tuesday."
Mhm.
It just that makes no sense. So, do you feel good about working in a system that does it the way they do it there?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've been in therapy myself throughout my life for different reasons and situations that I've needed to find some healing on, and it was rough having to wait a week to see my therapist. Um, so here, the clients here, they don't have that, and I really love that for them. We do take a different approach. We're really invested. Everyone here, and that's what I really love too about NPAC is everyone here is committed to, dedicated to helping their clients find lasting healing. Not this temporary stuff that'll fade. Addressing the wounds to stop the bleeding, to find lasting healing.
Well, I certainly I can vouch for neuropsychiatric enough that my daughter went there, and I was
Oh,
very pleased. And she still speaks about the people that she met there.
oh, that's awesome.
Richard in particular,
Yeah,
um,
he's great.
who's
He's
like
still here. He's great.
he's like the walking, talking teddy bear. There, he's fantastic.
Agreed.
But everybody is, and I think
Yeah.
that's important. They really um, they don't have like drill sergeants that are walking down the hall that
No.
people get afraid of. You guys act like a family, and is that by
Yeah.
design? Do you think that's by design?
Oh, absolutely. I think that was woven into the culture of NPAC. That was something I noticed right away from my interview last June when I interviewed for the position here. It's very much a family and a lot of good rapport. We have to have constant communication from the front, from the techs to the clinical team to the COO and the CEO. We have to have the communication has to be seamless. There's never a moment where we're not communicating about a client or what a client is struggling with or something they need to have handled or taken care of with in case management as well. It's a well-oiled machine. So we really do need to get along well for that to happen.
Well, you have to.
Yeah,
You have to because if there's discord in the staff, that does translate to the clients. They will see it.
100%.
Even if you
Absolutely.
try to hide it, they're going to feel it.
Absolutely.
Um,
100%.
because everybody walking around there, I mean, they're like a raw nerve, so they're going to absorb the environment around them.
Yes.
And if it's a bad environment, they're going to absorb that too. And we've seen
Yes.
that at other places, certainly.
Yes.
Jessica, I got to ask you. I mean,
Yeah.
you're brilliant.
Oh,
I
thank
think you're
you.
fantastic. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Why would you do this kind of work? You could probably do anything you want to do. Why do this? I mean, this will rip your heart out every other day, but
Oh,
it'll also you get to see miracles every other day too.
that's
So
right.
so why do you do this?
The miracles.
Yeah,
Yeah. This was absolutely a calling. Um, Being a therapist was a dream that I had many years ago. And for different life situations at the time, I had to let it go. And I never thought it would come back around, but it did. Um, you can't outrun your calling, right? It'll find you,
no,
it'll
no, you
chase you
can't.
down. So, helping people, because I remember what it was like to walk through pain and suffering. And though I am not in recovery myself, that's the equalizer, right? With humans suffering
Yeah.
and pain. So that's what equalizes us. And though I've made different choices than maybe they have, but I've suffered with them. And I knew that I was created to help people break free from emotional bondage, because I remember what it was like being in emotional bondage myself. And I knew I had to dedicate my life to helping others break free from that, because that can do a lot internally inside. And once you're freed from those chains, life is far more beautiful.
See, I see so much
Yeah.
strength in your ability to share that with us, that you've been through your
Thank
own
you.
trials and
Yeah.
tribulations, that you've done your your therapy rounds and done those kind of things.
Years of
Do
it.
you
Years of
do
it.
you do you bring that experience to the clients when you're talking to them and everything? Are you that open with them?
I am. I am. And if it calls for it, because there's a time and a place for that, to
Sure.
self disclose. It's called self disclosure, and um, you've got to know when to do it.
Yeah.
If it's going to trigger someone, you hold back, you reserve. But if it's going to continue to strengthen the therapeutic relationship, and it's a critical time to share that, you share some, because then that's what makes us human, right? Because then we can relate. Then, oh, she's not just my therapist sitting across from me. She's human. She's feels things. She has suffered. She has felt pain. She has experienced loss, and that's how we relate. So, yes, absolutely, I would share, disclose some things with clients as needed, so they can get that piece. They can understand that.
I almost feel that if you talk to anybody long enough, we've all had shared pain in some way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that try to hide it or pretend it doesn't exist.
Mm.
But I appreciate your being open with that,
Sure.
and I think that's what's going to make you successful in what you do.
Thank you,
If,
Scott.
if I had to ask you what's your favorite thing about
Yeah.
being at neuropsychiatric, what would you tell me?
The clients, the breakthrough, when they have that moment, and you've been with them, right, for weeks on end,
Yes.
sometimes a month or more, depending on the situation. And then you're in a session and they get it. And then you're like, that is why I do this right there, that one moment. And even if you had been struggling with that client for weeks, right? Like we're going over the same stuff and I'm just praying for breakthrough. And then they get it. And then I say, that's why, right there. That's why. Even if it's just a moment of a miracle, it's a miracle. I'll take it.
And that's important.
Yeah.
That really kind of like solidifies that you're on the right path, right?
Yes, yes. And them too, them mainly, because it's not about me, it's about
Oh,
them.
certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on the right path. Yes.
Well, I know that we all in this business at one point or another, we may be lying in bed or just kind of getting up in the morning and the feet hit the
Mm.
floor and you're like, I don't know if I could do this one more day because it can hurt so bad. And then you
Yes.
have one of
Yes.
those moments where you just, if I have to help 100 people and if only one of them live,
Yeah.
it's somebody's son or daughter, mother, father, brother, sister, husband, or wife. It's somebody important. So
That's
it's
right.
always worth doing, even
That's
when
right.
we don't feel it sometimes.
That's right. And sometimes you don't, because I'm human too, and I have emotions and I feel all of them and I go through all of them. And everybody has dignity. We were all created with inherent value. and worth, and we need to find that dignity again sometimes if it was lost. So helping a client do that, and because I'm human and we're all human, we're carrying these things with our clients. We're sometimes, we have to have, healthy boundaries, of course, but we're still human. We still feel these things. So it gets heavy. And that's why therapists need their own therapists, because it
I
gets
was
heavy.
just going to ask you that. You say that you guys are really, you work as a team, you work as almost a family, and it's a very great environment.
Yeah.
Do you also support each other in those moments when it's like, this is kind of hard, and it's kind of hard for one human being to carry, because you're almost carrying some of the pain of all of your
Hmm.
clients and some of that stuff. You
Yeah.
guys are there for each other and help each other as well, too, right?
Oh my gosh, the support around here is second to none. It really is. It really truly is. I mean, I had a mini session with one of the primary therapists a couple weeks ago, for myself, like my own personal stuff myself.
Sure.
But also, yes, constantly communicating about the clients, and then feeling that too. Like, we'll share, I'm just upset about this client, or I really need breakthrough for them, or I wish the situation was different, or we do communicate constantly, and we're checking each other, like with boundaries. How are your boundaries? How's your self-care? Aurelio, the clinical director, is huge on self-care.
Yeah.
So he's constantly checking in with us. Where are you at? Are you taking time for yourself? Are you okay? I really like that, because that's what makes you feel like a family too. Like,
Yeah.
we do care about each other. We genuinely care about one another, and checking in with each other daily, weekly.
Well,
We need it.
it makes, I don't know if people out there understand the importance of that, but there's so
Mm,
many people that work in a therapeutic environment and are trying
mm,
to convey a message of asking for help and convey a message of accepting
mhm,
help and change, but then
mm.
they're not doing that for themselves. And you're in
Right.
the environment, you should be doing it for yourself. So
Right.
it's really good to hear that, because
Yeah.
you're not just telling somebody what to do, you're showing them as well by your own
Yes.
actions.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And that's important to do with the clients as well. Not
Yeah.
just with clinical staff and with the employees, but also with the clients too, and showing them boundaries and what they look like. Because I mean, let's be honest here, the clients coming in have none. So we're
Yeah.
starting from the ground up with a lot of skills and teaching a lot of things. So they learn boundaries and what that looks like and how to create them, because they do that with their primary therapists as well, but with all the clinical staff. So a lot of boundaries, a lot of good boundaries everywhere here.
Well, that's fantastic.
Mm,
You know, I guess people are a little concerned about, um, COVID. And I know you guys, I was just having the
mhm.
conversation with Bob the other day, and I'm
Yeah.
very, very familiar with the fact that you do have isolation rooms, you have different things set up so that
Yes.
if there is a COVID issue, because you have detox on site, so you are the
Yep.
first stop. Uh,
Yes.
that you guys are set up for that.
Hmm.
They're not going to be in danger, any more danger than they are out on the streets by coming in there, right? You guys are very careful about all that.
No, yes, we are. We're extremely
Yeah,
careful about that, and actually much safer in here than on the streets.
yeah,
Um, yes, we're following all CDC protocol. Our head of nursing is exceptional. Our entire nursing team, our medical staff is exceptional. They do not overlook anything. We do have isolation rooms. We have a mask policy in place for clients and staff. So that is not something that we cut corners on.
yeah. Yeah, excellent, excellent. It's a concern. Hopefully, it's a concern we won't have to talk about much longer. But right now, it's still out
I'm
there.
with you, Scott.
Oh, I mean, it's like,
I'm
listen, I'm
with
sick
you.
of wearing a mask. I'm
I'm
sick of all that
sick
stuff.
of it.
But hey, when you get a beard, it gets worse. It becomes like a rainforest in there. It's
I've
terrible.
wondered. I've wondered men with beards how that I see them with masks, and I'm like, I wonder how that's going under there.
It's very uncomfortable. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. But I can't shave this. I was born with it.
No,
Um,
yeah. Keep it, keep it.
I listen, Jessica, I really appreciate your time. I really
Oh,
do.
it was my pleasure.
And I applaud you. Before we leave, I'd like to ask, you've talked about experiencing these miracles and being there and
Yeah,
watching these and
yeah,
absorbing all of that positiveness.
yeah.
Without any names, has there been like a client who has just kind of stayed in your heart and just like almost changed you in watching how they did things? But with, obviously without any names or anything, but have you had those experiences where somebody is just, wow, they have impacted me, not just like making me feel good, but changed me?
I'm not sure.
I know it's a big ask.
Momentary. It is, because we see so many clients, but I make sure that I'm consistent and intentional with every client.
Yes.
So I'm not sure just yet, but there are moments, like when you're in a
Yeah.
session and you just start collecting little moments. But I know that I'm just starting out, I'm just starting out. I got a year and a half left of school and 2 more years of an internship after that. So I know I'm going to meet a lot of people that truly leave me changed, a marked moment in my heart. But until that day, I am happy collecting all the little miracles along the way.
That is perfect. That is perfect. And let me tell you, Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic is very, very lucky to have you.
Oh, that's very
And
kind of you to say. Thank you, Scott.
I look forward to being up there and meeting with you sometime.
Yes,
Um,
I would love to meet
this
you.
has been great, and I know you were really excited to do the show. And
Excited, nervous, all the things.
but you did wonderful. It's
Oh,
not that
thank you.
bad.
No, it wasn't you. I'll do this anytime.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that, because I do like
Uh-huh.
your take on things, and you bring a nice perspective to everything. And again, one last time, I just want to
Sure.
remind people out there, and certainly get your final thought on, people who are concerned about their loved ones. What
Yes.
should they do?
They should call. Love them. It's tough. Just love them, and call, because it could change everything. It could change everything.
I can guarantee something, that the uncomfortability of making that first call
Yes.
is a lot less painful than the thought of, I wish I had said something or did something.
Yes. The loss would be great. It would
The
be
loss.
heavy. The loss is too heavy. So that relational stuff will get worked out.
It
My
will.
best advice would be, don't worry about that. That relational stuff will get worked out. And once they're clear-headed and find some healing and get some traction, they will absolutely come back and thank you. I know it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, I've been talking with Jessica Thompson, MSW intern right there at Neuropsychiatric Addiction Clinic. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Scott. Thanks for having me.
All right. Just stay right where you are. I'm just going to put you in the other room for just a moment. And I want to remind everybody, you've been watching Insights into Addiction and Mental Health. And if you like this show, please share it with somebody, and certainly join the ATC network on YouTube, and see all of our other shows that we have that are produced right here at the Addiction Training Center. But for now, remember, npaddictionclinic.com. Check them out. But more importantly, give them a call, 844-282-1306. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here on Insights into Addiction and Mental Health.